This is Pop Culture Yearbook. On this show, we pick pieces of pop culture that were important to us in a given year. We then discuss memories and dig into those movies, albums, shows, and more. I'm Brad.
I'm Pete.
And I'm Gif.
That's whack.
That is whack. We are here tonight to talk about one of the funniest movies that has ever been made, in our opinion. And Gif, you chose it, so lead us in.
I chose for the year 2001, Not Another Teen Movie. I am a huge fan of teen comedies, 80s, 90s, and of course with this one coming out in the early 2000s. It was just a wonderful film that made fun of and also honored all of those films that we grew up watching and loving. So just a quick note, I had 21 references to teen movies in this movie alone. So I was just kind of curious how many you guys came up with, or if you.
I had a 22 when I wrote them down.
I didn't count. It was just too many to count. It was
and
just
one or
amazing.
two might have been a little bit of a stretch, but I mean, I think they were all pretty good.
Did you count the A-Team in that too? That's not even a teen movie, but definitely references to other.
There was
references.
Well,
too.
so one of the movies that's referenced a lot is American Beauty, which is not a teen movie at all, but it's got a lot of very obvious references in here.
Right.
Yes.
Yep.
The plastic bag all over
but
the
I think
place.
the rest of and then I also had Almost Famous, which I guess I wouldn't think of as much of a teen movie. That was the other one.
The kid in that one was in high school.
Yeah, I mean, there was. I don't remember that movie all that well.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think we might get a little fast and loose with the definition.
For most of them, they are teen movies that are pretty well-known movies.
Yeah.
Couple that I found.
There's no rules here.
Gifford did not know, so we'll get to
Yeah, you actually found quite a few that I missed, and some movies that I'm just not even familiar with. So that'll be fun to kind of hash them out.
And movies like this was such a pleasant surprise when I went, because often these, like the scary movies and movies like that, they might have some funny parts, but they're not always really very good or memorable. And this one, again, like I said earlier, is just...
this one is
great.
Non-stop. Every single line in every single scene was just perfect for what it was trying to accomplish. Yes,
and it's got this great cast and this young cast. Like Chris Evans, who is a huge star, and this is like one of the first times people saw him.
Captain America.
So it was a lot of fun to see that this one really kind of stood the test of time, I think.
I agree as well. I mean, there's obviously some language and things of that nature that aren't all that great, but it's a movie that skewers teen comedies, and there's a lot of R-rated material that goes along with that. So.
And there's a lot to be skewered.
Do not watch this with your children.
Yes, that is fair. That is fair. So I guess I'm not exactly sure how you guys want to go through this. What I was kind of thinking is we could point out maybe a movie that was, referenced, and we could kind of point out some of our favorite things that we saw in the movie based on the movie was.
Well, if we're going to do that, we should probably start with the movie that's the most obvious one that is used throughout for the main plot line.
Yes.
And
which is
I'm leaving it to you.
All That.
She's All That, which came out just 2 years before this.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, there's the whole storyline is basically She's All That, where you've got the girl with the
glasses and
she's got a ponytail and glasses.
Don't forget the paint on the overalls.
Right. So you got Jake and Austin. They make a bet on who could be prom queen, and they have to pick the worst possible person. And of course, here there's a lot of funny stuff about there's an albino woman who's singing. There's a woman with a humpback.
Which, did you stay on through the ending credits? Because there was a little bonus scene there which
I don't think I'd ever seen
there.
before, but I caught this time.
Yeah, I figured that it would, so I sat through the credits and I made sure to catch what was ever at the end. Yes.
Well, and with the conjoined twins, Austin's comment about put them together and that's one fine chick.
Oh man.
So I mean, there were, that was the big one. The other one might have been 10 Things I Hate About You, with the Janie's got a gun part.
Oh God, that was hilarious. She's got a gun.
And Ricky's 10 Things I Love About Janie, is a reference from that as well. Also, Janie Briggs reading her books and trying to be, talking about reading Sylvia Plath and all that. That was kind of from Julia Stiles' character from 10 Things I Hate About You as well.
She's a unique rebel.
She is.
I love to. And then just, like the names of the books that she's reading. How to Be a Unique Rebel Without Giving Away, I don't remember. And the other one's like, How to Pick Up the Unique Rebel Curl When You're a Big Nerd. And I don't remember the names. But.
Yeah, just so many wonderful things in there. Obviously, I just mentioned Ricky, and he would be a reference to Ducky from Pretty in Pink.
Yes.
Also,
the other movie that I think is used a lot in here, especially for the sports sequences, is Varsity Blues.
Right. Yes.
That's a very large reference compared to some of the others.
Well, and also Lucas.
Yes,
right?
I had that one. Gifford doesn't know that movie, so
and that was what
I had never seen it, but I knew that I don't remember seeing it. Maybe I'd seen parts of it because some of it did seem familiar. But I remember that was one of those where at the old video store it was always sitting there. I remember that one.
Yeah, I haven't seen it for probably 35 years, and I'd like to watch it again. It wasn't available when I looked. I had actually looked it up recently, not even related to this. I'd love to watch that movie again. I'll keep trying to find it.
Well,
that was definitely.
But the kid with the glasses playing football, who ends up getting cut in half,
Marty,
clearly
that
Lucas.
Was definitely the character I related to the most because that is exactly who I was, only without the one moment of glory.
He even had the same number as you, did he not?
Number 45 and everything. Yes, didn't know where we were supposed to be. Lined up at wide receiver, and yep, that was totally me.
And if it was possible to cut a guy in half by getting hit too hard, you would have been that person.
That basically did happen to me once.
Well,
in practice.
And getting back to like Varsity Blues, of course, Ron Lester, God rest his soul. Reggie Ray reprises his role of Billy Bob from Varsity Blues, and he even has his pig. Who is sausage in this movie, whereas it was bacon in Varsity Blues. We have the whipped cream bikini scene.
Yep.
From Varsity Blues.
Well, and I mean,
it was the banana split.
Stuff.
It was the banana split.
But the coach too was just like John Voight in Varsity Blues.
Right. Yep. That is very true. Well, and then of course the line that Jake had to his father, "I don't want your life," directly from Varsity Blues. Of course. Jake's father was the same dad from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and he was living in Jake's house from 16 Candles.
And speaking of 16 Candles, in the very opening scene, which is a doozy, the grandparents, basically the same grandparents from 16 Candles, walk in on her. Two different people, but they look exactly the same.
They do.
The opening scene just had me right there. This is I had written down. So a couple of episodes ago on the Tommy Boy episode, we made a list of our top laugh out loud movies, and I told you
this was one of them, and
this should have been on my list. I don't think I'd ever seen this movie before, but I have now. This would definitely get added to it because just every single line, every single scene, man, it was laugh out loud. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Though, well, yeah, those. I think most of the big ones. We can get to the smaller ones maybe later, but the other big one that I think maybe we should mention is Cruel Intentions because of the brother-sister relationship and several scenes that revolve around that.
Yes.
Plot of that movie as well.
That was disturbing.
Well, and two of my favorite lines from this whole thing are from Catherine. And of course, one of them is, she's trying to have sex with Jake, and Jake says, "You're my sister," and she says, "Only my blood."
That's so good. Because in the Cruel Intentions, they are brother and sister, but they are steps, right? I mean,
right, they are steps.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and then the other one of Catherine's is in
the song.
In the prom, leading up to the prom song. So what if we have the same mother? Tonight I'm going to F my brother.
Oh my God, that's a great line. And I was going to get to that song later, but that song is just brilliant. That's the point where this movie goes from a great spoof to like, it could have gone off the rails right there. Like that song could have been so bad and just dumb, but I think it's the best part of the whole movie. That song is brilliant, and the dancing and the lyrics, it's just, oh my God. I think it just takes it to a whole nother stratosphere.
Yeah.
You got all there was the obvious ones like the Risky Business. That was a big kind of part of it, and then obviously the Breakfast Club, where it was just a complete reenactment of that scene with the actual
with the
principal guy, right?
The real principal, diehard guy.
Right.
He's back.
Right. You've just earned yourself another week of detention.
That might have been.
And they just keep going and going. And another. Sorry.
If I had to pick a scene that I don't like in the movie as much, I think I'd pick that one. It feels kind of out of place. And the fact that they brought him, it just seems kind of forced to have him actually do it. And it's too much the same. Like, they didn't really add any kind of a little twist to it or anything. So it's funny. It's great. But if there was a scene that I thought maybe seemed a little more forced than some of the others, that's probably the one I would have to pick.
Well, yeah.
All right.
I would say, just because it is basically word for word.
Yeah, it's just a reenactment.
But I do love that they got that guy to come back as
cool
the
that he did it.
So that was awesome.
Well, how about, should we just run through kind of the list of the other movies that are in here? And then kind of maybe talk more about... So I'll just list off the ones I had, and then you can add the ones that you had that I missed.
Okay.
All right, so we mentioned 16 Candles, Pretty in Pink. American Pie we didn't mention yet, but there's a lot of obvious references there.
Yeah, the apple pie stuff.
Even just some of the characters, like the three guys, they're very much like the three guys from American Pie.
Oh, the one guy is Ox instead of Oz.
Yeah, the Chris Klein character is very obviously the same. Varsity Blues, there's a locker room scene that's like Porky's, The Breakfast Club. Here's one that's a smaller one that probably a lot of people wouldn't know, but there's a movie called Jawbreaker. It had Rose McGowan in it. I can't remember who else. Somebody else that was fairly well known at the time. But they're like three mean girls. It was kind of like a Heathers. Like, it was pretty dark. Yep. And they walk into their school, and the song Yoo-Hoo by Imperial Teen, one of my favorite bands, is playing. And in here, Priscilla, Jamie Lee, what's her name? Jamie Presley. Yep. Her and her friends walk into that same song. It's very much the same. So that's a clear one.
Yep.
By the way, you did mention the Porky's locker room scene, and I loved when they looked up at the vent and it said capacity 2 teenagers.
Yeah. I didn't even notice that. Because they had 3 up there.
Yep.
Right.
And that's why everything went to hell on them.
American Beauty we mentioned. Never Been Kissed is one we didn't say yet. Bring It On has several references.
Of course.
Lucas, one very minor one that I didn't even notice, but my wife noticed. In the library, there's a category called Weird Science. So that's a very small one.
We'll accept that.
Cruel Intentions, 10 Things I Hate About You. Ferris Bueller, Can't Hardly Wait. Almost Famous, Better Off Dead. Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Can't Buy Me Love, which maybe is a stretch of mine, but the slow clap scene, I relate that to Can't Buy Me Love.
Yes.
And then there's a few others that Gifford will mention, but those are the ones I had. I also wrote down Grease because I felt like the dance scene, there were parts of that, even though they were She's All That related, parts of that, and I can't remember exactly, I'd have to see it again, made me think that it was also kind of spoofing Grease at the same time.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I could see that.
what are the other ones that you found, Giff?
Well, this one's a pretty good stretch for me, but I put Wildcats in there because they're the North Compton Wildcats, the team that they ripped the cheer off from.
That did seem like a stretch, but that's great.
I had Rudy in there because of Mr. T's character as the
Yes.
janitor.
Right. Right.
I also had Heather's in there because I related when Priscilla walks in with her two friends on either side as the three girls from Heather's, and one of them is called Heather. And then the last one I had was Road Trip. And in the prom song, the one cook said that, and I just jerked off in your French toast. There's a scene from Road Trip where they're in a diner and one of the guys sends his French toast back, and the short order cook kind of has his way with the kid's French toast before sending it back out.
That's a really good one because I can picture that scene from Road Trip now, and that the cook being the guy that sings it, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
The other, so
well done.
Most of them, if you know the movies, are pretty obvious. But so the Weird Science one was very minor. Mm-hmm. The two Fast Times references that I wrote down, one was because they played Somebody's Baby by Jackson Brown. But then the other one that I hadn't noticed till this viewing, in the town, there's a window for a TV repair place, and it's called Spicoli's TV Repair.
Yeah.
So there's little things like that you could so easily miss, too. It's just filled with awesome things.
What was the Ferris Bueller reference?
Well, the dad is the same dad from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Okay.
Jake's dad is the dad from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
And when the kid's going to have the party with his parents there, I guess you guys were talking about Risky Business, which I guess is better, but I always thought that was kind of Ferris Bueller at the same time. Parts of that, the way he's dressed, I don't know. Parts of that reminded me of Ferris Bueller, too. I thought there was kind of a mixture.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's a few different mixtures because, like Mitch's character, I said I thought that he was like Seth Green's character from Can't Hardly Wait, because Seth Green was appropriating, black culture, and this kid was appropriating Asian culture. But
but I also thought he reminded me of Long Duck Dong and like exchange students. So but yeah, it's a good mixture kind of two different tropes there.
Right, and there is a lot of that because Jamie Presley's character, she is reminiscent of Taylor Vaughn's character, and She's All That. She's also, in the main character from Bring It On. She's, dating the guy from American Beauty with the bag. I mean, there's, people take on so many of the characters throughout the movies. So, I think you could equate similar things to, or similar characters to many different movies from this.
And then, so another character we haven't mentioned yet that is kind of a reference just to overall, probably like 80s movies, but also just the whole exchange student thing. You've got Areola, what a wonderful name. Areola, who is just a completely naked girl who walks around the whole movie naked because she's just the object for nerds. And it's like she's like Shannon Elizabeth, kind of only always naked, but also many other types of teen movies.
I don't believe it. She wore the same outfit that I did.
That's a great line, too.
Well, and I love that her backpack is clear so that it doesn't obstruct any part of her at all. Yeah. Well,
and of course, this is set at John Hughes High School. So,
I was just going to bring that up.
Thursday night, Preston's party. Friday night, football game. Saturday night, prom. Did you catch that?
No, but that's good.
It was a sign right at the beginning of the movie when you first see it's John Hughes High School. That's what the sign said. You
mentioned the North Compton Wildcats. I love that the name of this school is the Wasps. Because all these movies are also white and dominated by white characters, and so they are the Wasps.
Well, and
I think quite funny.
Put a finer point on that, we have the token black guy.
Yes, of course.
Right.
And
They include that. And I love his character because the scene where he goes to the other black guy and says, "What are you doing here?" And he's so apologetic and he leaves. That's so great. By the way, you know who Token Black Guy is, right?
Who?
He's Kenny from The Cosby Show.
Yeah.
Rudy's friend Kenny, the little kid.
Really?
Yeah.
And the other token black guy that he kicks out was he was in Cruel Intentions.
Oh, was he?
He was the token black guy in Cruel Intentions. One of the other little things that I liked about this is the lunchroom is Michael Anthony Dining Hall.
Yes, Anthony Michael Dining
that was
Hall.
good.
I wrote that down. I hadn't noticed that, I don't think, before either. And in Anthony Michael Dining Hall, they have a hot dog stand for practicing oral sex.
Right.
Says it right on the sign.
which they
That's kind of another reference to Fast Times, by the way.
Right, with carrots. Yeah. Yep. Well, and the reference to Never Been Kissed with Sadie, and you got the two students in the office talking about a rumor that there's a reporter there, and behind them there's a sign that says, "Notice, there is not a reporter posing as a student."
And I love that character too because she's like 80 years old and she's dressed up like
just trying to fit in. Oh my god!
Oh my god!
There's that one scene though. Oh my god!
Yeah, that's a bad one.
Intentions, yeah.
Yeah, the Cruel Intentions reenactment.
Yes.
It's very graphic.
Well, that's the other nice thing is that Catherine's room is the exact same as Catherine's bedroom from Cruel Intentions. So they really, bring it in nicely there. But yeah, a lot of the sets, like Ferris Bueller's house is Preston's house, and I mentioned that Jake's house is the house from 16 Candles. Who is Jake? What was Jake's? Because this is Jake Weiler. What was Jake's name in 16 Candles?
Jake Ryan.
Ryan, yeah. So
the names are from She's All That because it was Zach Seiler. And Janie Briggs was Laney Boggs.
Laney Boggs, yep.
Speaking of the young cast, too, the other one that back then I didn't know, but when I watch it now, I just love seeing Ted Mosby from How I Met Your Mother in here as the tour guide. And just, again, the movie is just so self-aware. It just does such a great job. So his first thing when he does his tour of the college, he breaks everybody up into cliques, and he puts them all together. And there's 5 guys with letter jackets, and when they stand together, it spells out jocks.
And there's that one kid who thinks he's in with them. He's like, hey, you get over there.
No, you don't belong in that one. You're over here. And then he has, in my opinion, maybe the best line in the whole movie. Now, the line where she sings about her brother, that's a great one.
Yeah.
But when they do the She's All That dance scene, and he's watching, and he goes, "You would never suspect that everyone at this school is a professional dancer."
Yeah. See, and I thought that scene was in reference to She's All That because isn't Usher in She's All That?
Yes,
like,
he is.
The DJ, and then they do a thing, and like everybody gets out.
Yeah.
Like a dance.
And that's the thing.
routine.
In She's All That, it's unbelievable how forced that is in there. And I read that they did that whole scene, actually, or I heard it in a different podcast, and that they did that whole scene in that movie just to make it longer. They were just trying to find ways to extend it, and that's how they danced.
Oh, really?
And yeah.
So, Brad, we were talking before we came on, and you had mentioned some of your favorite parts were the parts from the crowd, lines from the crowd.
So I have lines that are not from the crowd either. I don't know if we want to do those first or this, but throughout the movie, there are characters that you don't see in the background that have some of the best lines over and over again. So I made a whole list, and I think you have some too.
I have a couple, but you go ahead.
Go for it.
Well, it kind of starts at the beginning when Catherine walks in and they say, "Does that girl go to our school?" And then she graduated 4 years ago. And then it's kind of almost like a narrator. Priscilla is freaking out right now because the girl lost the glasses and the ponytail. It's just you don't even see them. But you're showing Priscilla, but these other 2 girls talking.
Right.
You mentioned one earlier before we got on when Janie's going to jump into the pool. You're a unique rebel, Janie.
Yes, show us how drunk you are. And then when Priscilla dumps the water on her dress, and some girl goes, "That's gonna stain.
That's gonna stain." And there's another one where Priscilla says something really stupid as a comeback, and one of her friends that you can't see on the screen either goes, "Nice comeback, Priscilla." And do it for Marty's torso.
One of my favorite ones was when Marty got cut in half in the flashback, and you can hear somebody yell, "Walk it off, Marty!"
Hey, how'd you get in here?
Is when the conjoined twins win the prom queen, and in the background they go, "They deserve it." And that's such a line that some high school girl would say too, where they're all mad, but they try to act nice. And
well, and what about the song that the band sings? "Put your heads on my shoulder."
Yeah.
Hey, how'd you get in here? Well, there was a hole in the side of the house.
That band, by the way, is Good Charlotte's real band.
Yes.
Kind of like what was the movie we just talked about? The Mighty Mighty Bosstones were in.
Oh, Clueless.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep. Yeah, with the guy who just does nothing but dance the whole time.
Yeah.
How do you?
And then when they get to the airport, I had two more of those ones. So he makes this big speech and you let him through, and then the Ducky character comes in and tries to do the same thing, and this girl goes, "You're bleeding on my suitcase," and they just hate him. And then
we've already heard that one.
You don't see her when Jake's looking around, and you hear them say, "If you're trying to find the words to stop a girl from leaving, now would be the time."
or what about when Ricky's chasing Jake when they're trying to get to the or to get to her house, and like Jake runs through the traffic and everybody stops, and then Ricky's trying to do it, and everybody in the car are yelling at him, "She doesn't love you like that."
Yes, I forgot that one. And then this is a really stupid one, but when as they're getting to the airport, there's a guy in the background, like from Boston, that goes, "Next stop, airport." It just makes me laugh. And then that after credits scene that you mentioned, Pete, where the albino's playing, and somebody yells, "Quick, grab her guitar!" So that was my list of those.
The whole movie is just.
Well, one of my other favorite bits or scenes in the movie is the stolen cheers scene, where they're at the football game and the cheerleaders from the North Compton Wildcats come over, and it's the Bring It On scene, and they're accusing them of stealing their cheer, and they're like, "We don't steal cheers," and then they do the cheer, and this cheer starts with, "We're the North Compton Wildcats," and the other line in that I absolutely love is at the end of the cheer that it's, "We ain't white, we ain't white, we definitely ain't white."
That is so good. And I also love, I can't remember what he's from, but the dude that's like in the press box announcing, he's in some stuff, and he's hilarious.
He is.
And I love his line because they show the montage of the first half, and he goes, "Wow, that was the fastest half of football I've ever seen."
Or when there's the big turnover and the team runs it back, and he just yells, "What the F just happened?"
Yeah. Oh, okay. I don't want to go.
I want to watch it again.
The movie. I only have one more quote, so I just want to say that one.
Okay.
One of my other favorite lines is when what's the friend, Austin, you said is the friend's name, the guy who put him up to the bet. And Janie, there's nothing wrong with her, of course, as the jokes about the ponytail and the glasses are just hilarious. They never get old. They're just
every single time. Yes.
But he asked Jake, "Did you ask your four-eyed circus freak to the prom yet?" Four-eyed circus freak because she wears glasses.
I had one more about the football announcer. Is after the girls get done cheering, his line is, "Those bitches represent."
Oh, I couldn't remember what he said. I wanted to remember that, so I'm glad you got it.
Oh my god. Oh. Well, and I also enjoyed a lot of, again, here with the cheerleading, I really enjoyed the cheerleader with Tourette's,
Yes.
And when she's in front of the crowd and they're doing the cheer, and she's giving me, give me an H or give me a W, like she's gonna spell wasps, and then she breaks into a tangent, a Tourette tangent, and the audience just pauses, and then they repeat.
And then they repeat it.
Just profanity-laced tirade that she went into.
Well, also, so Janie is, of course, she's a big artist.
Yeah.
And I love how they show her art, and she's just going crazy and slapping stuff on there and looks like she's just amazing. And all her art is like stick figures, and they keep talking about how wonderful and talented she is, and it's just funny. It does not get old.
Well,
you have your mother's eyes.
There was, yeah, I was going to say.
I can see the resemblance.
Oh.
And then I love, again, these little touches, like the words, like you found those things you found, Pete, that you read out loud. But when he's looking for her flight, it just says art school in Paris.
Yes.
That's the flight that's listed on the outgoing.
Oh my God.
Oh man.
I mean, I could go on and on. That pretty much covers all the. It just never ends, and we haven't even gotten into the dirty stuff yet, which we're not going to get into probably. But it's filthy at times, but it's so funny.
It's hot.
It's
well, like when Jake's walking through the school in the beginning.
I love that scene because they're playing Elastica, who I mentioned 2 weeks ago as one of my favorite albums and told you to go listen to. That's Elastica playing when he walks in. The movie has great music also, all the way through.
Yep.
Another reason why I love it. Sorry, go ahead.
He's walking through and like one girl throws a bra at him and he's like, "Oh, hey, Pamela." And the girl throws his panties and then there's a jock comes at him. He's like, Arthur.
And he stops to look at his portrait on the wall, and then there's a picture of him looking at his picture on the wall. I guess that's a reference to Inception ahead of time.
Right.
Oh man.
Well, and the car he drives is the same car from 16 Candles as well, right? Isn't that the same?
I don't remember what
car
it
that
like.
Jake drives in 16
Is it a red
Candles? Porsche?
Like a red sports car?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably then.
Well, it's a hilarious movie. I love it. That's why I picked it.
Highly recommend. Good choice.
Thank you. Well, and then it's nice the way it wraps up with the cameo with Molly Ringwald as the ticket agent.
So there's two cameos. Melissa Joan Hart makes a cameo earlier, which, she wasn't really big in these movies, so I thought that one was kind of a little bit weird, but still fine. But having Molly Ringwald at the end, and then it's great, though, because she gives that speech about how stupid they are, and she's totally playing against what her character would have been. And then I love how they go for each other anyway, even after he tells her that he's just going to get wrecked and go off and have all these other girls. And it's just great.
You're going to call me a slut. I'm going to call you a cock tease.
She was not originally slated to be that was not the original ending.
Oh, really? Well, here comes the fun fact.
I did not actually find what the original ending was supposed to be, but they did the original ending and they didn't like it. They needed a better finish. So then they called up Molly Ringwald at the last minute, basically, and they got her in there and they reshot the ending with her in it.
Well, that was
because
just
they thought
because just really brought the whole thing together as far as what they're shooting for, and again giving the respect to these movies and people from them being in them. So she looks a little funny in this movie. Her eyes are very, very large, and she looks like she's got bug eyes all the time, but she still does a great job with that role.
Yeah.
Yes, she does.
The other fun fact that I found was Serena Vincent. This is the naked girl.
That's Areola.
Yes. She had just come off doing Power Rangers Lost Galaxy and was trying to shake off a family-friendly image by appearing nude.
Oh, really?
This also went the other way around when she was reluctant to be fully nude in Cabin Fever, afraid of being typecast as a nude scene actress.
Oh, yeah, because I saw Cabin Fever, and she gets naked again in that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, and
So-
like you were talking about the excellent music in this, I highly recommend to anybody listening to go watch the video, Marilyn Manson's video for Tainted Love, which has the characters from the show in it. Very excellent song, very hot video.
Yeah, the song is great. I've mentioned it on this podcast before one time,
Yes.
and that song is just it's so great. Great original and a great cover.
Yeah.
All right,
Well,
should we move
Did we
into
have
our next
anything
topic?
else? Did we miss any more fun facts, Pete?
Yeah, I got any?
No, that's all the fun facts. I was looking for more fun facts, but I didn't find that many.
I think the
more
fun
that were
facts
that
are finding all the
interesting.
movies that are referenced. And I
That's
think we got
really
them
what it's all about. We got
we missed
got
any,
all of them.
Please tell us. Go on Twitter or Facebook and let us know what we missed, or send us a message so we
That's
can know,
right.
because we'd want to know what we missed.
Do it.
All right. So our
Gifford,
next
what's our next topic?
Our next topic is going to be our top 5 2000s teen comedies. So teen comedies that came out from 2000 to 2009. I'm assuming I know everybody's number 1, but
I do have Not Another Teen Movie at number 1.
As do I.
Because it's a spoof, I considered not including it, but it is a teen movie, so I put it at number 1.
Yeah, absolutely. It qualifies. Go for it.
Well, I know it does, but I didn't know if I did. Anyway, I had that thought as I was compiling this list.
Well, do you want to give us your top 5, Brad?
Oh, sure, okay. I had a couple honorable mentions. The Girl Next Door was a pretty good movie. Orange County, I just rewatched that recently. That's pretty good. Superbad, I liked when I saw it the first time, but I don't think that's a class. I don't really have any interest in watching it again. I don't know. It was good, but I don't put it in the category of some of the classics. And then Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist. That was a good movie, but I actually like it more for the soundtrack. The soundtrack was amazing, but it's got Michael Cera is in it, and then I can't remember who's
love
Nora.
Michael Cera. I've got a
But
different Michael
it's
Cera
a
movie.
good. It's more of a like it's not a stupid teen comedy or anything. It's more of like an adult type. You know, the characters are like more mature.
Like a Juno type?
Yeah. Okay, sure. Speaking of that, Juno is my number 5.
Good deal.
So I got that there. I got Bring It On at number 4 because it's just fun. Mean Girls at number 3. Number 2. This is one when I looked at the list, I would have never have thought of it as a teen comedy, but it is, I guess, and I love it. So Napoleon Dynamite is awesome.
Yep.
And then number 1, Not Another Teen Movie. There's some good movies.
Right.
Some of those I'd like to watch. I haven't seen many of those as many times as some of the older ones. Like Juno, for example, I think I've only seen twice, but I loved it, and I should watch it someday again.
Yep.
The difficult caveat that you threw on here, Gifford, was that it had to be 2000, 2009. If you had gone back another 10 years or 20 years, I could have come up with 50 movies.
Sure.
But 2000, 2009 was a little tougher. But I did have...
But we already did our 90s one.
I know, but not specific for teen movies, right? So...
What?
Oh, yeah.
We did.
We did?
Episode.
Oh, Lordy.
Hey, Pete, hold
All
on
right.
a second. Let me tell you how Usual Suspects ends.
Pete can go back and listen to that Clueless episode again as if he never...
As if it was his first. I didn't remember that being teen. Never mind.
Wash
All
you
right.
down with a little Park and Rec.
All right. I did have not another
What would we
teen
do with
movie.
that?
I had Superbad. I had Napoleon Dynamite, Juno, and Friday Night Lights.
All right. Excellent list.
Oh, I thought this was just teen comedies. Was it not teen comedies?
Yeah.
I
Oh,
thought it was-
Friday Night Lights. That's not a comedy.
We'll let it
wow.
slide.
But that's,
there was a
I was
laugh
just
or two
curious.
in there.
Maybe I didn't know if I
All right.
didn't read it right.
God damn it.
It's
Well,
no big deal.
so a couple. I think I've only got a couple honorable mentions that weren't already put in there. One was Euro Trip.
Yeah, I saw that movie. It's pretty good.
And then also the second American Pie movie.
Yeah,
See, I wanted to do American Pie, but then I realized it was, 99?
Well, American Pie was 99, but the second American Pie movie was 01.
Right.
The thing is, those later American Pie movies, Stifler's like a whole nother character. Like, he turns into just this complete, like, spaz. Almost like he's got...
Well,
I don't know.
His
character to me changes and is not very funny.
Tried to stretch it out.
Yeah. In the reunion and the wedding one, he was way more spazzy. I thought
maybe 2 wasn't as bad. I guess I'd have... Yeah. In the wedding one, though, that's where he gets really bad.
Right. Yeah, and that's the third one, and yeah.
I think I kind of liked American Reunion. I forgot about that one. American Reunion, I kind of liked it.
Bad, but again, he's kind of crazy in that one.
Yeah.
Again, it keeps that persona going.
That was nice because there was some time passed there, so it was good to give it some time and then bring out another one.
Yep. So I had those two as some honorable mentions. My number 5, and Brad, you might disagree with this because it's more college, but you're still a teenager in college. My number 5 is Van Wilder.
I did not include it because it's a college movie, so.
Sure. Number 4, Napoleon Dynamite. Number 3 for me is Superbad. Number 2 is Road Trip. And number 1, Not Another Teen Movie.
Oh, I thought Road Trip was from 1999. Is it from 2000?
Road Trip's from 2000.
Oh, okay. Well, that should have been at least on an honorable mention then, because I love that movie.
Yeah.
I missed that one.
So, from there, we will move on to the top movies of 2001. Who would like to go first on this one?
This was I go first. This was actually a pretty decent list of movies in this year. Not quite 1989, but there was a decent list. I had Ocean's 11, Castaway. This is when the first Harry Potter movie came out, so kicking off that whole franchise. A Beautiful Mind, Moulin Rouge. I also had Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Legally Blonde and Shrek all came out that year.
A lot of good ones.
Yep. Was that your whole list? There's also Vanilla Sky, but then I remember thinking that movie is kind of disappointing.
Ooh, I liked it. Here, let me go next then.
All right.
So I had honorable mentions. These are movies that I saw with Kim that we both liked that were kind of more relationshipy movies or considered maybe more chick movies, but they're good. So the movie Heartbreakers with Sigourney Weaver, Jennifer Love Hewitt.
I love that movie. You'll be hearing about that one in a little bit.
It's great. Yeah, Legally Blonde, Bridget Jones's Diary, and Serendipity. Those are all movies that we saw together and very much enjoyed. There was a very dumb comedy that came out, a level below the good ones. Corky Romano. I actually thought it was pretty funny.
I don't think I ever saw that.
What's his face from SNL? Crap. Who?
Yeah. Good Lord.
Whatever. We'll think of it later.
I can see his face.
You mentioned Harry Potter. We didn't get into that till later, but the first one came out this year. And then Gifford, you're going to like this one. So this one is not a movie I enjoyed, but we had a disastrous night where I almost got divorced right after getting married because my wife wanted to watch Moulin Rouge. And I made the mistake of inviting you and Dave. And was it just you and Dave?
And the girls.
No, there weren't any other girls there.
Oh, I thought Courtney was there.
That was the problem. And so we're watching Moulin Rouge, and you guys are just making so many comments. You're being loud. You're being obnoxious. You're ripping on it. And I can see her just stewing in the corner. And I'm like,
seething.
Oh my God, this is not good. But we still talk about it today, 20 years later, because you guys were obnoxious.
It still could result in your divorce somehow.
Right.
Yeah. And then last honorable mention, I wanted to point out the first Fast and the Furious came out this year. I never saw it. I don't like it. But Pete brought it up in our 2009 episode as one of his favorites because he said the original came out in 2009. And I was like, what? That doesn't seem right. He was only 8 years off on that one. So
well, there's a different... It was confusing the way it was written, the way that... Never mind.
I know. I saw it. There was a movie that came out, but you were referring to the first one, which came out in 2001.
Yep. Moving on.
I know. Top 5, quickly. Number 5, I had the movie Novocaine, starring Steve Martin. It's a great little indie movie. I love Steve Martin. By the way, I started he's got a new show on Hulu called Only Murders in the Building. It also has Martin Short and Selena Gomez in it, and it is fantastic. And I haven't seen Steve Martin in a starring role now in 6-7 years. It's just hearing his voice at the beginning just made me so happy. And by the way, you know what that show is about?
No.
There's a murder in the building, or a suicide, but they think it's a murder anyway. And
aptly named.
They start a true crime podcast, and it's all about a podcast that they're trying to get off the ground.
God, and just like us
at the same time. Number 4, I had Ocean's 11. Number 3, I put my top 3. I have groups. So for number 3, I had 2 kind of like arty, weird movies that I really, really love. So Memento and Vanilla Sky, Pete mentioned. They're both very different movies, and I love them both. They really make you think, maybe confuse you. Number 2, you mentioned Shrek. I also wrote down Monsters, Inc. So two great cartoon movies, animated movies. Yeah. And then for number 1, I had, so not another teen movie, but I also included 2 other great dumb comedies from that year. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, which I absolutely love, and Zoolander. So
excellent.
That
was probably only 10 top 5 movies.
It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
9. Shoot.
I had
so a couple honorable mentions from me.
I also had 9. I had 9 too.
Pete. The second film, this follow-up to Silence of the Lambs. Came out that year.
Yeah, see, that one was kind of a big disappointment when we saw it. It's pretty good, but it was just kind of.
Well, it's not as good as Silence of the Lambs.
You're waiting so long for it; it just didn't. It could never really live up to the expectations.
Tomb Raider came out this year. A horror movie that I really like, Jeepers Creepers. Also, 13 Ghosts with our favorite Matthew Lillard.
Oh, came out
that year. Yep. Rockstar.
Yes, also, I had that on my original honorable mentions. That's a good one.
Also, Royal Tenenbaums and Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring came out this year, kicking off that trilogy.
Oh.
Memento, Monsters, Inc., Mulholland Drive, American Pie 2, Legally Blonde, Joe Dirt, another good honorable mention there.
Mulholland Drive, though, that's a good one.
Yep. Also, Swordfish, just for one particular scene.
And so hang on here. So you made fun of me for having too many movies on my list.
And I was just going to say, and then he named like 37 movies.
These are my top 5s. This isn't my top 5. So, and then of course, Brad's favorite Kevin Spacey movie, K-Pax, came out this year.
K-Pax.
So my top 5, Heartbreakers. I love that movie, Brad. I own that movie.
Yeah.
It's just so funny. Gene Hackman.
Gene Hackman. I forgot who else was in it.
Oh, he was so good. Number 4 is Training Day. 3, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Number 2, Not Another Teen Movie. And my number 1 for 2001 is Ocean's 11.
Oh, you had that above Not Another Teen Movie, huh?
Yeah.
You must really like that movie.
It's a great movie.
I love
it was really fun.
So I think that's going to wrap up all our topics tonight. Pete, are we going to go ahead and do something with the yearbook?
I think we can close the yearbook on
Slam that thing shut.
2001. Yes. Stay tuned for next month when, you know, a term I invented for next month, Gifford?
No.
Spooktacular.
Spooktacular.
PCY Spooktacular.
Yes. We are going to be doing a month-long Halloween special series, and it's going to be very spooky and scary. So I can't wait. I think I don't know. We haven't decided what all of them are going to be yet, so we'll have to figure that out. All right. Well, be sure to go on Twitter, Facebook, Google, whatever. Write reviews, like us, follow us, comment on us. That would be great. We'll wrap it up with a little Preacher Row. Thanks, everybody.
See you guys.
Bye.
sleep. No one's here to comfort me. Sorry for what I have done. Sorry that your son is gone. 7 steps and it will be my last. And start to me on my plan.